Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday, and welcome to our third and final deep dive webinar on our double check series. Today, we are going to be going over double scale. For those of you who haven't joined us in the past, my name is Elena. I run our marketing organization here. Before we jump into the real meat of things, just a few housekeeping items. Today's session will be recorded, and we will send that to you this afternoon along with the recordings for the other two webinars this week. If you want to get into those before we send out that email, Maddie is going to post right now the link to the landing page that has the recordings to both of those prior two webinars. One was a deep dive on core, where we went over all of the features that we released into that tier this year, as well as a deep dive into double plus, which if you do end up on the scale tier, you will get as part of that. As I mentioned, we are recording this, but if you have questions throughout today, make sure to put them in that Q&A bucket so we can respond to them. If we don't get to all of those questions today, we will respond in email. Whew. All right, today I am joined by Jillian Plank, our head of product. Hi, Jillian. Thank you for joining us today and welcome.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be
Yeah.
here.
Yes, fabulous. Alrighty. So for today, first I'll go over the new plans that we introduced in 2025 really quickly. I'm guessing most of you, this is not your first webinar this week, so hopefully this is review by now. Then I'll hand it over to Jillian, who will really dig into accruals and AI transactions, the two big features in double scale. So first off, this year we did introduce new pricing plans to give you more flexibility with all of your different clients to make sure that everybody is on the right plan for the right client. Today we are going to be going into Scale, which is our premium offering. And again, all of this is mix and match, so whatever works for each client is the best option for you. We are running a promotion for December and January, whereby if you upgrade a client to a premium offering, we will give you an invoice credit of that premium tier. So for Plus, that's $25. For Scale, that is $50. Before I hand it over to Jillian, I'm just going to highlight really quickly here where this can be done. If you are on the client list and you go over to this little practice settings cog and then into all client settings, you can see here what everybody is on. We can see Canada is already on, or Canada is great, is already on Scale. So no need to upgrade this client, but you can toggle between the different tiers here. All right, with that shared, I am going to hand it over to Jillian, who's going to really dive into the product today.
All right. Let me pull up my screen here. Okay. Um, Thank you for being here, everybody. I'm super excited to be talking to you today about our scale features. These are kind of near and dear to my heart, including, most importantly, accruals and AI transactions. So with these features, we really wanted to support accounting teams providing the higher touch, more complex accounting services to your clients, which may be consuming some of your highest level accounting resources, which may be you or maybe someone on your team at your practice. So the goal with both of these features that we'll dive into today is to take the knowledge that you have and just make it faster to apply, reducing manual entry and tracking, reducing some of those like common errors that happen when doing manual data entry, and letting you focus on the pieces of work that are the most interesting to you and require your expertise as an accountant. So let's take a look at accruals. The way I like to structure this today, just so you are aware, is to kind of briefly talk through high level what these two features do. And then we'll do a deep dive demo where we'll walk through actual multiple examples. And then I can answer some questions that might come up at the end if we have any time. And then as Maddie and Elena mentioned, if you have questions that don't get answered, we will follow up via email. So, what are the benefits of accruals and double? Why did we build this? The first benefit is speed. So we all know, I'm sure, all of us on this webinar know how time consuming it is to maintain manual schedules that don't automatically update with new additions. So the way I've seen this handled in the past by teams is to set up a task to make sure you're checking for new prepaids, computers, equipment, deferred revenue items, and then you have your separate schedules over here. If you have any new entries, you have to pull up your schedule, type in all the relevant details, update your formulas, calculate the current month's amortization, depreciation, recognition, and then take that amount, hop back into your ledger, post the manual journal entry. And so now with accruals in double, you can add new items to your schedule by clicking a button. We have presets where you can kind of automatically apply depreciation policies that you've already set up with default terms, accounts, classes, etc. And then the journal entries automatically get posted, and all you have to do from then on with that particular line item is to just check it every month and make sure, and we keep the schedule tied to those journal entries. So I'll show you what that looks like in practice. Um, so that kind of leads to our next benefit, which is accuracy. You don't have to worry about missing a transaction that didn't get captured in the schedule. You also don't have to worry about errors in data entry, fat fingering an amount, and because we all know that that can end up blowing up the process and taking a lot more time than we even initially thought it would. And then finally, connectivity. I love that if I need to make a change to my prepaid expenses, for instance, I've already posted my journal entry. If I find something that needs to be added kind of at the last minute, it's quick to add, and I don't have to go in and edit a summed journal entry amount. All right. Um, the accrual types that we support at this time are prepaids, fixed assets, deferred revenue, and accrued expenses. We are kind of looking at particular applications like adding support for payroll accruals, loan amortization, and allocations, which I don't really consider accruals. They're separate, but we are looking at those as well. So stay tuned on future releases. Okay, quickly going over AI transactions. Um, the benefits here, I really like to think of the transactions that we support in using AI in Double right now in kind of two main buckets. So the first is the high volume, high like manual data entry transactions. They've got multiple lines. For instance, I've seen, let's say, like a lawyer client makes a large transfer from their trust account over to their operating account. And I've seen schedules come in with like hundreds of lines where they're taking that total transfer amount and needing to split um, the amounts across the different like subledger kind of client liability accounts. That it's not necessarily difficult. It just takes a lot of time to make sure you're accurately adding the exact amounts and posting them to the correct subledger accounts. And so this actually, in practice, I've seen this work with our AI. You can add your prompts, upload that file, and then you can have 100+ line journal entry spit out in a minute or two. The second type of transaction that I like to run through our AI is kind of that brain bending type of entry. It's one of those that every month you look at it and you're like, wow, how did I do this last month? Like, how do we get this to balance? Which amounts go in which account again? And you're kind of like copying last month's entry over and then squinting at the source file and making sure you're getting the right amount in the right place. And with these, you can set up your prompts, document your process, and make sure you don't have to kind of second guess yourself every time. You know it's going to be done accurately, and then you move into more of that reviewer role instead of the preparer. So transactions we support right now, journal entries. So I think these are great for payroll reports, point of sale or payment processor exports, custom schedules requiring adjusting journal entries. I've used it to process kind of like a lease accounting schedule. Um, then we have bills, which is great for like multi-line item bills where you need to split lines out into different accounts. And then we are very close to releasing expense types as well. Okay, with that, I will jump into the demo here and we'll just walk through some examples. All right, I'm on my close page for my client here. We're going to start with our accruals tasks down at the bottom here. So when you sign up for Scale for a client, you will get access to this new section called Accruals, and you have the option to click Add Task here, and then you can choose your different types of accruals here. So I have a couple of them added already. If I were to add another one, I would choose, let's say, pull in my source account. So any account where you might need to be monitoring and consistently adding, or not even consistently, but adding new accounts to a schedule from there. And then you choose kind of how you map those accounts. So you've got your original cost. It's pretty flexible if you don't use an original cost balance or kind of a separate net book value roll-up account. You can still just use your fixed asset account, your accumulated depreciation account, and then you have to select where you're going to post that depreciation expense. So I'm going to use an account that I already have set up here. I'm going to walk through prepaids and just kind of give an example of how I would have historically done this. I'd maybe be looking through my balance sheet or setting up a say file review report in Double and looking for new transactions that hit that prepaid expense account during the month. So I can see I've got my LinkedIn transaction here. And historically, I would have pulled up my schedule, typed in my vendor, the description, the amount, where I need to be posting this, the expense side of the transaction over time, copying over formulas. But I'll show you now that I have my prepaid expense accrual task set up. I open this up every month. If something gets pulled in here, if something has been added to that asset account, all I have to do here is click Add to Accruals. I'm going to choose, let's see, let's have it start in December. It's going to be a 12-month subscription. Currently, we're supporting straight line. We eventually will be adding additional types. I think maybe a little more relevant for fixed assets, but you can do full month or mid-month convention. I'm going to use full month here, and then I'm going to choose dues and subscriptions that I want to post that expense to every month. And then you can choose classes or locations if you want those dimensions included on your journal entry. And then that just spits out my schedule here. So I can see that over the next 12 months, I'm posting this expense amount every month to dues and subscriptions. And then at the end of that schedule, I will end up with $0 remaining in prepaids for this transaction. I'm just going to hit post. And that actually is going to post all of those journal entries into the future. I can open up my schedule here, and for anything that I've posted to a schedule, an accrual schedule in Double, I can come in here and check out those choices I made. And then I will also show you, if you go into the accruals tab, if you posted something and you're like, oh, oops, I messed up that's only an 11-month subscription or something strange happens and you need to make an edit, you can also do that. So I can see my schedule here. I'd like to make an edit and I'm going to change that. Let's say it's 10 months. And so we can see the edits being made here. It's basically saying we're going to remove those journal entries that posted in the 11th and 12th months. We're recalculating so the entire amount gets amortized over 10 months instead of 12. And then I can hit save and that will update in QBO as well. Couple things to point out with this, if you have any locked periods where you've already posted, we won't overwrite that lock and we won't post to prior periods. And so we'll give you a little warning saying, hey, we need to kind of make a pro forma post. And so you can still make edits, but it will change future periods only. And we'll show you that schedule. You can kind of visualize what's happening before you hit post. Okay, heading back to our close page here, I will show let's go through a fixed asset accrual here. This one is slightly different. These assets were added as a journal entry, which you can also add. And so I can see here that I have 3 line items on this journal entry. This is just the cash that was paid for those two vehicles. And so we can see that full journal entry amount, but we're not going to add this to the schedule because it's not a fixed asset. So I'm going to choose, let's have this start depreciating next month. Let's make it mid-month. I want to make this I need some help from my tax folks. 7 years, 5 years. Um, let's do 7. We'll call this, it's a Ford vehicle, and I'm not going
Phone
to
a
choose
friend from the chat has said 5.
5. Thank you. Make this as realistic as possible. Um, what did I do? Okay, line item 2. We'll just do a second Ford vehicle. Make it mid-month 2. Okay. Um, so there we go. I'm posting those as two separate assets for 5 years. Great. And then those are also tracked in our accruals tab as well with a full schedule. I'm also let's take a look at deferred revenue here. I created an example where it's a multi-line invoice that was sent. So we've got our debit to AR, and then we've got a line item here with a subscription for a full year starting in December. So I'm going to start that. You can kind of just pick any month in December. I'm going to do that for 12 months. This is getting posted to a subscription revenue account, straight line method. And then my line item 2 here. This one it's customer support for the subscription term. So I'm going to add that for a 12-month term as well. Post it to services. And then this invoice also had kind of a one-time setup fee that was posted directly, kind of the way it's set up in QuickBooks, that was posted directly to revenue. So the nice thing here is that you don't have to take the entire transaction and defer and recognize. It pulls line item by line item, so you can be pretty flexible there. I'm going to go ahead and post those. So you can see how every month, as you have new invoices coming in, you're just adding them to the schedule, and then you're not having to maintain that schedule manually. Okay, accrued expenses. This one is kind of fun. We have a few different options for accruals. So I'm going to walk through a couple examples. Let's say one accrual type is let's say we have an employee and we're gonna accrue a bonus for them over the next 12 months that will pay out after they've been with the company for 12 months. So I'm going to start this in November. I'm going to say this is a 12-month duration. And here I want to reverse this at the end of the duration. So we're going to accrue for $2,000 a month in bonuses. And I guess I have to add my employee name. I'm going to pick a random vendor for now, so I don't have to go add it. But what this is going to do is it's going to accrue $2,000 every month. We're going to see that accrued expense balance growing over time. And then at the end of that period, it'll reverse the full amount. So post this. And then let's say we have another accrual type. Let's say we have a contractor we know is starting and they're going to invoice the client at the end of the quarter, but it's a $30,000 contract that is meant to be kind of accrued for monthly over that term. So let's say it starts this month. It's a 3-month contract. And we're not totally sure when this contractor is a little flaky. They send their invoices late. So we don't really know when they're gonna send that invoice. And so I want to make this a manual reversal. I'm gonna let this amount accrue monthly and then sit there until we get that invoice. So we'll choose the vendor. I'm going to say this is a uh, $10,000 contract labor. Okay, so we've got $10,000 accruing for that monthly for the quarter. And then when we post this, what will end up happening is that this will just sit in our accrued expenses kind of as a task to be keeping an eye on. And then when we get that invoice that comes in, let's say they send their invoice not until February of 2026, at that point we can hit reverse as of February. And then we'll have make sure that everything's kind of lining up in the P&L. Is that the other option would just be kind of your standard monthly accrual where let's say we're accruing for rent. We haven't gotten that invoice yet. It's just 1 month. I want to just reverse this monthly and I'll choose my landlord for $10,000. This is going to rent. And I can just see I accrued for 10,000 at the end of November and it will reverse in December. So you can do that as well. So I think those are all the examples that I can think of at the moment. I'm sure there are plenty of other options, but since we only have 9 minutes left, I was going to jump into AI transactions. Okay, so this one I was going to talk through. This is a an actual file, and my redaction got a little bit wonky here, but this is actually something that my accounting team has used, and this is kind of like a perfect use case for AI bills because we would receive this very high volume of these kind of vendor invoices for customer projects. And they send these very cryptic invoices that have kind of acronyms, and we kind of have to have like a key for them. And this is one of those ones where somebody's sitting there and they're looking at, they have our kind of our key open, and then they're like, what does EPH mean again? And which account should that go to? And then they have to subtotal all these items and manually key it in to get to the total amount here. So what we would do in this case is kind of put that key in writing in the prompt. So we would say, let's see, for this EPH, any line that says this should be posted to cost of goods sold, this particular account, and then we can save that prompt. And every time we upload a new invoice here, we can browse the prompt, apply that prompt that we've saved, that fills in here, and then we can generate that bill. And so you can see here, I ran this last night just in the interest of time. Um, but I did go through and it posts every line item and it got it correct. Um, Posting to kind of these like pretty detailed accounts and using like a key to look things up. So I think that one is pretty cool and helps my team out a lot. Okay, another example. That's the one we just looked at. Sorry, it's this one. Ah, a Stripe export. I'm sure we have all seen kind of screenshots like this. This is one of those that I kind of think of as like a what did we do last month? What like where do we post all of these items to try to get a sales summary accurately reflected? And so in this case, I would post this as a journal entry. So you select journal entry and it opens up a blank prompt here where if I were thinking about this for the first time, I would just be going kind of line by line and trying to figure out which amounts I need to sum up and post to a revenue account versus which amounts need to be posted to a fees account. And I do have an example here of the Stripe. Okay. So I do suggest being quite detailed, and I say kind of like look in this section, this the line item that says this, like sum the total of fees and debit to, you have to be very prescriptive with your accounts at this point. I think the more descriptive and the more kind of exact you can be, the better. And then let's see. Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes to run. But the really great thing about this is, especially if you have multiple bills or transactions that you're running kind of at the same time, you can get this prompt going and you can hop out of here and open up your next item. Can apply this and I can run this in the background while that's working. And then you can kind of go about your work and then come back and review once it's ready to go. So I think while we're waiting on that, I could see if there's any questions I can answer. Um,
Happy to throw some at you, Jillian.
okay.
A lot of questions on accruals. So if you go into the Q&A section, everybody like add your questions there and also upvote the ones that you see because I'm going to ask them in that order. So first question, can you print out the schedule?
You can export to CSV at this time. Um, and then from there, you could print it, I
Okay,
believe. Yeah.
there we go. And if that's something specific that you want, something more, you could throw that in the canny and then we'll look at that in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. We are actively working to improve these features. So happy to hear any feedback and requests.
Yes, we are.
Ah, let's take a look at our journal entry here. We've got our, let's see, charges, our total gross amount here of 96,442. Um, our refunds and allowances here. I I guess we don't need to go into every single amount here, but since I've run this one before, I know this is accurate. So pretty cool that it'll just pop that out, and all I have to do is hit post and it'll attach this document as the backup in the journal entry as well. Um, Happy to answer
Awesome.
any more questions in the
Yeah, we
last
got we
three
got we
minutes
got tons of
here.
questions. We're not going to get
Okay.
through them all, unfortunately, but we're going to throw you a few more at you. Will double flag invoices it thinks will cause a manual reversal, like if it sees an invoice for a vendor we accrued for, will it say, "Hey, we think you need to reverse this now"?
I really want to build this. So we don't do
Not
that
yet.
right now, but I think it's like such a natural extension of this feature.
Is there already a canny for it, I assume?
I don't know. I have a personal canny for it.
The great news is that you're the head of product.
Yeah. And I
Um,
want to build this. Yeah.
exactly. All right. For accrued expenses, let's say we receive an invoice in December that's actually for November. Oh no. Our current software, we're able to do a for the period of November 2025, and that accrual is automatically posted. Is this possible? Double.
I not sure I caught the full question. This is like we've already like you want to post an accrual in the past.
Yeah, I think
As
so.
long as there's not a, as long as your period is not
December
locked.
invoice.
Yeah. As long as your periods aren't locked, you can post things in the past
Okay,
and have it
perfect.
accrue and then reverse in the current period. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do one more. Actually, we're gonna do two more. First off, talk to me about Zero versus QuickBooks for these features.
Currently, these features are not supported in Zero. They're
Okay.
QuickBooks only. But that can that can also change. So we will keep you posted on Zero updates. I know there are some firms that are really waiting for this. So
Yes. All right, final question. If your client has regular deposits to deferred revenue, but they sit there until the customer receives the service, i.e., dog kennel boarding, daycare reservation complete, and aren't on a schedule, how would you do that?
well, you can have. You would have them sit kind of in that deferred revenue task because they're in the deferred revenue balance, but not being deferred yet. And so if you have at some point, you know when that service will be provided, you could just set that recognition date for when it's going to happen, and then they'll sit in the schedule um, until that recognition needs to happen in the future. That's probably how I would, I guess it depends on how known that recognition date is or not.
Makes
But
sense.
we
All
could
right.
definitely handle that.
We are at time. Thank you, everybody who has joined us today and who has joined us for any of our past webinars. Maddie is going to post the link again to the recordings for Plus and Core as a reminder. If you do put a client on scale, you also get all the features in Plus and Core. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out those two as well. Um, have a wonderful rest of your week and a wonderful rest of your year, everybody. Thank you, Jillian, so much for being here, and we will see you all later.